Eric! New acquisitions! What stuff have you bought recently in the last 2 weeks that you'd like to show off for our viewers?
So last year I watched Krampus, which was delightful, and will be a maybe watch for Christmas this year because you didn't watch it with me.
Oh, God, I was just about to say, like, review it now. Go, 5 words. But
it's delightful. It's a great throwback to things like
no, I said 5 words. You're still going.
It good.
That's 2 words.
and stuff.
One more word left.
But so yeah, I got Krampus, and we'll have a review of that in a month or two.
I'm excited. That sounded like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
What else do you have?
Also got...
By the way, this will not be an hour-long new acquisitions like last one was, because that was new acquisitions like for months before, because we'd never really done that.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you know,
I'd never done that.
This will not be a super impressive new acquisitions. Well, there's a few really cool things here, but anyway.
So this requires a slight bit of explanation. This is Good Apollo on Burning Star 4. There's a band called Coheed and Cambria. All of their albums are concept albums.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay, real quick, I didn't even look at the title of that, and I just assumed it was another Dark Tower trade. Look at that font, and look at the color scheme. It looks like Dark Tower.
It does predate it, and it is also meta.
Interesting. Anyway.
So, all of their albums are concept albums. A couple of years ago, they started putting out some graphic novels adapting their albums in sequence. The first one is not good. The second one is, they brought in Peter David as co-writer. It's leaps and bounds better. And then the third one, which there was a long gap between, that's finally started, which adapts Good Apollo on Burning Star 4. I really hope Peter David's still there co-writing. But before all of that, when they first put out their third album, they put out a graphic novel that tells the story of just that third album. And it's, I don't want to say it's like super rare, but it's not super easy to get your hands on either. And it came into my work, and I purchased it, and I'm super excited because, I mean, it doesn't look good, but I mean,
you're just glad to be able to get your hands on it.
Yeah, it's nice to have it. I'm a moderate fan of the band, at least for their first 3 albums. Yeah. I mean, this is real.
There is a Spawn one-shot that looks exactly like that.
It reminds me of what's the vampires in Alaska? The comic, and that was a movie.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of it right now.
It's not exactly my thing. Like, some people love that kind of artwork. It's not exactly my thing, but it's just a cool little thing to have.
I'm just going to be racking my brain constantly trying to remember that. Is it on my shelf?
It must be, right?
I think it's on my shelf over there.
And it's a number, I'm sure.
It's a number. Yeah, it's a number. See,
but it's not 28 days later.
I can't remember right off. And it's
30 Days of Night.
30 Days of Night. There it is.
It looks kind of 30 Days of Nighty. I'm interested to read it, see if it's any good.
I didn't like that movie, so I never bothered with the comic.
I didn't do either. I also got Scooby Apocalypse and Future Quest Volume 1. Hopefully, I'll be reviewing those next week. Maybe we'll both be reviewing them next week.
Those too, yeah.
At least the Future Quest one.
We were going to try to get to that this week, but you'll believe me later on when I say we had enough already. So,
I also got for a killer deal, Scud the Disposable Assassin, which is a comic series I've wanted to read for forever, and it was one of those things where, like, it was just always like a thing where I was like, I'll get that later. Like, I'm not dying to get it. I'll get that later because it was really reasonably priced. This was $30 on release.
That's nuts.
This was $30 on release.
We've seen the hardcover for $100.
Yeah. And so I picked this up for $15, and
God, that's nuts.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the thing that will ultimately be my bag, but just on the principle of how cheap that ended up being, I'm jealous of you.
Yeah. So the premise of Scud the Disposable Assassin is it is a universe where there are vending machines that kill people. You put in money, and the vending machine goes and kills someone, and then they self-destruct, because that is their purpose. Scud is one of those vending machines, and then doesn't self-destruct. And then he has to find his purpose in life. That's the premise of Scud the Disposable Assassin. Kind of like the
suicide machines in Futurama, except they don't kill you, they kill other people.
And there's a character in Rick and Morty called Mr. Meeseeks that they... one of the guys who created Rick and Morty is friends with Rob Schrab, who's the creator of Scud.
Oh, interesting.
Also, Scud in Blade 2 is a reference to this Scud.
Is it really?
Yep.
I wondered about that. And then immediately dismissed it. Was like, surely not, you know. Because, I mean, that's real undergroundy. I mean, it's Image, but That's not a thing I've heard anybody ever talk about. And
It got a video game.
yeah, and for the longest time, I thought the video game was all there was for that.
But
I didn't realize it was based on a
But the
comic.
creators of Rick and Morty have said, Mr. Meeseeks, like, yeah, we just ripped off Scott, the Disposable Assassin. He's the exact same character.
That's
so I think that's interesting,
Yeah.
because that's one of everybody's like favorite characters from that show. Mr. Meeseeks is really funny. And then the last thing I got, which I got with the Scott the Disposable Assassin, is I finally got the first hardcover of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Speaking of
the
being
Ultimate
jealous,
Collection,
I'm really that one.
which was $20, and I
That's
think
nuts.
there's 4 or 5 of these, and these are. They collect just the Eastman Laird stuff, which is so nice, because if you ever actually look through the original Mirage run, there's so much filler that's not canon, and is just people doing things,
Yeah.
and most of it's not very good. The hardcovers only collect the Eastman Laird stuff. It presents it in the original black and white. There is a version called The Works that represents all of the same material but in color.
Looks like a pizza box.
Yeah, but these have interview like commentary for every issue, every single issue by Eastman and Laird, and I'm so excited about that.
And not like in the comic already, like it's later. Like
It's either right
gives
before or
you-
right after.
It's after.
It's after.
It gives you the you know, it's presented the way it originally was. And I should also mention that that's oversized.
Yes, yeah.
It's enormous. Just look at it. I went ahead and read the first
Here's
issue.
a regular comic
Yeah.
for comparison.
I went ahead and went back and reread the first issue. We're talking about doing that next time.
Yeah,
maybe this whole book, or maybe just the first, couple 3 issues. But it was just so much fun to go back to that,
Oh,
and
it's great.
especially getting to see it so big. I don't know. This is just beautiful.
And I love Eastman Laird Turtles. It's my favorite version of Turtles.
And it was especially interesting with all the stuff that Tom Waltz has done with it, and just later versions. Like, we've had a lot more Ninja Turtles, weirdly, since the last time I read this, and so there were things that, like, I didn't remember the purple dragons were on the first page. There's things like that I just didn't remember.
I did, because they're so big and important in the 03 cartoon.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have this, and excited to jump into this. And ironically, or not ironically, that's probably a misuse of that word, but interestingly, issue 1 is the one I'm least interested to see the commentary for.
Who wins?
Because
why is that?
that's the story that gets told 1,000 times anytime the Ninja Turtles ever come up in any. I know the story. I know he took a cheese grinder and put it on his arm and was like, "Look, I'm the Shredder." And that they're watching TV and he drew a Ninja Turtle. He's like, "Look, it's funny." I know that story. I've heard it so many times. They never talk about the rest of the series.
Yeah.
I'm really interested
exciting.
to hear about that stuff. I think that's everything that I have that I'm not going to also talk about later.
Yeah, there are some things that we got recently that we're going to actually cover later, so we won't talk about them now. Like, I guess just a real quick preview. Later on, I will be talking about Mario Odyssey. I will be talking about the new Bubsy game.
The most hyped game, I think, of the year, Bubsy.
Yeah. Yep. So that's in there.
So what have you gotten this week?
That was $30. Yep. Talking about that later.
Everyone, I'm so excited to hear him talk about
We got some candy. Oh wait,
did get
we're
some
going
candy.
to talk about that
later.
a little bit later on Snackvolution. No, new stuff.
Down Target.
It's so difficult. I got the first 4 seasons of Heroes because they were insanely cheap. These came from Brandon's work, and he sent me a message, and he was like, "Hey, we got Heroes, and it's $4 a piece." And I was like, "That's the amount of money I would pay for these."
I might give you $4 for season 1 since you already have it.
I thought you had season
I do
1.
not have season
I thought for
1.
sure you did.
I'm pretty sure I don't. I should double
Okay,
check
well, I will
before I give you
happily
$4.
gift you that.
Oh,
but,
thank you.
Yeah, because of course I have
It's the
that.
only season worth watching?
It is, absolutely. So I have these because I collect every superhero thing on video. Everybody knows this. And so now I
And at
have
some
those.
point,
Yay.
we're going to do something on this.
We've talked about it.
Because you
well,
and I have vested interest, at least in the first.
I think it
2
would.
seasons.
I think the way to handle it now that we have the Omnibus, is just to maybe go back through the first season and put it in Primetime Crisis. That's probably the way to handle it.
Yeah.
Because episode to episode, I don't think anybody would care to hear us talk about
No.
that show. It's not popular anymore. People don't care.
It's unfortunate. That first season's really good.
I think the revival series could have been brilliant and still tanked. Like, I don't know that it mattered. I don't think there was legs left with that show. So,
But Heroes is something I think it's fascinating. I like talking about.
yeah, me too.
Because it was so big and so kind of important and influential, and then immediately disappeared and no one remembers.
Kind of like
And-
Lost, except way earlier.
Yeah. And also, like, it died off faster.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, people like to say, like, Lost died off immediately, after that last episode, and that is kind of true.
No, I meant
but
it died off while the show was still going on. Heroes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that first season was really important. As I've always said, if only they kept with the original premise, I think they could have kept it going.
I agree.
but it started being kind of the same thing every time, and it stopped being remotely believable. I mean, there's some crazy stuff in that first season, but
I mean, the second we get to season 2,
the
and we
travel stuff never made sense.
The second we get to, if it happens in the past, it has already happened, but the future is forever changeable.
I don't know how your time travel works. Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous.
I don't understand how their present works. Anyways.
Yeah, and they had a hard time.
I guess we don't need to review Heroes.
Yeah, we're doing
we really
it
have
right
to
now.
watch it. We can just talk about Cold right now.
But we're just talking about things that don't work. We're just talking about complaints. No, but it had that whole thing where it couldn't decide if the present was more important than the future. Like, if somebody went to the future, they would almost treat it like the present sometimes, and that got weird. But anyway, and then there's the whole thing with Isaac Mendez and how he kept predicting the future long after his death, like way after his death, even though he was late on his comic book. He had all these comics that kept coming out through season 3,
and they predicted the alternate future. Like, so season 1 has a future that needs to be averted that he's drawing comics about. Season 2, that future has been averted, and there's now a new future, and he also drew comics about that, because he dies halfway through season 1. And then when we got to season 3, and a new future he also drew comics about that.
I don't understand. Because, like, that stuff couldn't have come to him as being the future until Butterfly Effect changed things. Whatever. I got Freddy a birthday present that he hasn't gotten yet, so nobody tell Freddy about this. He's going to get this on Friday. But Sarah and I found this at Target a couple months ago, and I ordered it on eBay. This is Night Night Groot, and this is just a really super cute book for kids. This is by Brendan Deneen with pictures by Cale Atkinson. I like the art in this a lot. It's real multimedia looking, and you know, it's got that kind of like almost, I don't know, not paper mache, but kind of paper look, you know, paper on paper look.
Yeah, yeah. And like South Park.
It's a lot. Yeah, sure. Or it just feels like somebody cut out a bunch of things out of paper, out of construction paper. But it's we're throwing stuff all over the place.
Not we. Don't say we.
The big table was better. But one of the reasons that I wanted to mention this is because it has a lot of really cool references to a bunch of not a bunch, but a few comic book things that you wouldn't expect to be in this. Given that it's that it's obviously based on the popularity of Guardians of the Galaxy and the MCU in general.
It's got Red Hulk and She-Hulk.
Yeah, and Moon Knight, which I was really surprised by. Like, what kid right now knows who Moon Knight is? Like, that was really cool.
What kid should know who Moon Knight is?
That's a really good point. Jason likes Moon Knight, or he thinks he does.
Another one. We all think we like Moon Knight.
Yeah. Well, Captain Marvel before she's big.
No, there was one more that I thought where we were flipping through. I was like, oh yeah, it's Moon Knight, and then there was someone where I was like, oh yeah, no, that's
that was that person.
That's a really Rocket Racer.
Oh, Rocket Racer.
Rocket Racer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of fun. Like
coming to Daredevil season 3, Rocket Racer.
If you have kids and you think it's really cool when people actually go back to the comics and not just the movies, this is certainly a cool thing to pick, and it's a cute story.
You know what? In tone, I think Rocket Racer could be like an opening foe for like Spider-Man: Homecoming too.
I could see that too. But the problem is, he's usually like that Road to Redemption thing where he's stealing things and then Spider-Man has to like help him out.
But I could totally see just like an opening scene where he's just stopping somebody on like a superpowered skateboard and he's like, "What are you even doing? Skateboards aren't even a thing anymore."
Or where he's like trying to be a superhero.
Well, no, just he's just the opening foe that Spider-Man stops and is making fun of him.
I guess I could see that.
Look, after what we're going to talk about later tonight, we can do anything with any character and no one will care.
No, that's I'm not going to disagree with that. Vince gave me this Mojo Jojo that he found at some store. I don't know where he bought this, but this is from when the original Powerpuff Girls was on, and this is a toy that I had never seen before. It's bizarre because he's so top-heavy, like, you can't really set him down anywhere, but look, his brain! And I just think that's absolutely fantastic. But he doesn't stand up or anything. It's a really strange toy. Like, he's plush until he's not plush, and, you know, he just falls over. But I love him. Thanks, Vince. And here, keep your head on. And then I guess I will go through some comics real quick. So I was going to talk about White Knight this week. I did not get to it. Once again, I did not manage to get to Batman.
I really want to read that because I love Sean Murphy, and people are talking real big about it.
I may talk a little bit about this next time, or I may just wait until it's done, because by then we'll be halfway through it already. No, it's 8. So I don't know. I may talk about this a little bit.
I might read those too.
It's been a little bit since I read the first issue, so I don't really feel like talking
Oh, you
about
did
it right
in
now,
fact
but-
read the first issue?
Oh yeah, I did.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, I liked it.
Okay, cool.
It's a little bit. I guess I'll talk about it for a second. It's pretty political, but I don't think it goes too far. And it is a it's very alternate history. It's Batman snaps and goes very crazy, and Joker goes sane in an interesting way that I don't think we've necessarily seen before, and has to help. Sane Joker has to help bring crazy Batman.
It was funny because someone pitched that to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I liked Axis. Nobody else did. Why is it cool now?"
Yeah,
I'm sure it's better written than that. I mean, Axis is fun, but
even think of Axis as I was reading it. Like, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's. Yeah, I can see why you'd say the premise.
well,
is
someone
better, but-
explained it to me as Joker's personality gets inverted, and I was like, "Oh, so it's Axis."
Yeah, but Axis doesn't have like bad people going good.
Yes, it does.
Oh, does it? I haven't read that in a long time. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I thought it was just some good people go bad.
No. Deadpool becomes Deadpool. Red Skull becomes the White Skull.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read it month to month as it was coming out, but I didn't look at any of the tie-ins, and I just don't really remember.
Well,
it.
I just read the event, but
yeah.
probably a little bit more recently because it's the culmination of Uncanny Avengers.
Yeah.
I was reading all that.
That was during a period where I wasn't reviewing comics and I was real behind on stuff. I'm behind on stuff now, but I was real behind on stuff, and I honestly don't remember that event very well. So we should review it at some point. But
I would love to just go through Uncanny Avengers
yeah, that'd be good too.
because I love that. I love that run.
There might be a couple things mixed in here that I mentioned last time, honestly, because some things got mixed up. But still in the middle of Oz Effect. I actually haven't read this issue yet. And I'm only going to be showing you things I haven't read yet. But I have this big stack of stuff that I just haven't gotten to. So later on in the Comic Vault, if you're interested to see if the comics I did read, that's where that's going to be. But still in Venomverse.
Is that still going?
Daredevil.
I saw some ad for something like Venom Inc. or something.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Slot's name is on it, so
I think maybe
interested.
it's finished. Yeah, honestly, I'm obviously pretty behind on stuff. Still buying Main Conquest, still haven't read it yet. We reviewed.
It's only 12 issues.
We reviewed the first issue of Shadow Batman last time. I didn't care for it. Eric was more enthusiastic. I haven't read this yet.
I have not read it either. I'm excited.
I was gonna try to drop Miles Morales Spider-Man, but I had another fun foil cover, so I went ahead and bought this one. But I may be done with
that's
it.
all
next time,
chaotic.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's hard to look at, but whatever.
We've got it at the store, but it's not lenticular, so I got to see. It's that.
Oh, you know what?
That's what it looks like.
That's the reason I bought it, because the spots on the cover. That's the
Well,
reason
and
I bought that.
I'm excited because Bendis is terrible at villains, but at least he's fighting villains.
Yeah, that's true. Still getting Thanos. Here's the latest issue of Daredevil. I guess Kingpin is supposed to be mayor now, so...
Yeah, I saw a thing with like a banner across the top of one of the issues. It was like Mayor Kingpin or Mayor Fisk.
Yeah, I'll review Mace Windu when it's finished. I haven't read the next issue of Silver
think
Surfer.
that might be the last
This
issue.
is always brilliant. Of Silver Surfer?
Yeah.
Are we finishing that?
I saw a tweet to Mike Allred asking him, now that Silver Surfer's done, would you, what? Silver Surfer's done and the bug is ending.
It looks like it. Oh, that's sad. Yeah. Well, it had a really good run, because chances are that doesn't mean that it's going to get, renumbered again. It's probably just done. I'm surprised by how long this lasted, honestly, this iteration
Hopefully
of
it's
it.
a satisfactory conclusion.
Yeah, hopefully so. That book has been able to
It looks
do...
sad because his reflection has the girl with him and his not reflection has him alone.
Yeah. Yeah, that will be really sad if that's what happens. Here is another of these Dark Knight Batman tie-ins. Just every character is getting one of these.
There's one more after this.
Okay, so we're almost done.
So once that one comes out, we should do those.
We were going to go ahead and review these this week, and Eric was like, well, there's still a couple more we should wait on.
The last one's the Doomsday one.
Oh, cool. That's exciting.
I forget what that one's called. I think it's the Destroyer, something like that. Unless they're doing one for that Joker version, but I think... And I'm going to read Metal, so I have some idea of what's going on in that.
Yeah. I don't know how much of Metal there is left. I've read 3 issues, and I think that's all that's come out so far. So, Paper Girls, just lost at. I love this book, but reading this month to month it's very difficult to keep up with. So I do keep reading this each time it comes out. I haven't read this one yet, but I can't keep up with it at all. So at some point I'll sit down and review that all together. I'm behind on Batman.
You've got that one.
Oh, I do have Devastator. Okay, so this is the last one. So we.
I believe that's the last one.
Well, that's the case. We could have done that, but that's okay
because they put out that big poster with all of the alternate Batmans, and that's the last one on that poster.
Okay, cool.
Unless they're doing one for that Joker guy.
That cover's awesome.
It's really cool.
That's exciting.
This
art's pretty good.
I hate how childish I feel when I'm like, ooh, the covers, they're chrome.
Oh, sorry.
But every time I see them, I'm like...
I feel like you and I have maybe contention with Tony Daniel. Am I wrong? Where, like, I tend to like him and you tend not to? Or
I like Tony Daniels well. No, I like him more as an artist than I do as a writer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too. I'm like that with Finch.
But no, he does some of Morrison's Batman. He does Batman R.I.P.
Astonishing X-Men. I read Back to the Future, and it's a little better, but I still don't love this book.
Get ready for the next one. Everybody get ready.
So, I'm not going to talk about this on the Comic Vault later, because it's just not really worth talking about, but this is awful. Nobody buy this. This is Agent 47, Birth of the Hitman, also birth of just terrible artwork.
Have you considered reading this with Sarah navigating you through the panels?
I think she would probably jump ship after 3 pages and ask if we could hook up the PS2. That's kind of what I think would happen. But yeah, that joke is because Sarah and I used to play Hitman together, because one of our favorite pastimes is simulated murder, and I can't read maps, and Sarah is not great with controllers, so I would do that part, and she would do the navigating part. Her part was more impressive than mine. Anyway, because I also wasn't good at that game, you know, so it took us forever to get anywhere. But anyway, yeah, I bought this just because I've always thought Hitman was kind of interesting, and I always liked the premise of that world.
He also owns both of the films.
Yeah, look, you need to ask permission before you give away so much of my personal stuff. But anyway, this is just bad. I said I wasn't going to review this. I'm like, why shouldn't I just say it's bad? I should say something about it.
It looks bad. It's written bad. It should feel bad.
Yeah, you should feel bad for purchasing it. No, I'm kidding.
Well, they probably didn't.
I did though. I kind of can't believe I did that. But yeah, I'm not gonna keep this on my pull list. It was honestly really hard to get through. A whole lot of just like posturing instead of actual characterization, where people would just say things that are supposed to like sound kind of insightful and profound, and then you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't really mean anything, and I don't really know what's happening in this book, and you kind of jump around everywhere, and I don't know.
Oh, you know what I saw? Speaking of just video game tie-in comics for a split second?
Yep.
There's a new Halo comic written by John Jackson Miller.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Did he do books? Or
I don't think he wrote any of the Halo books. Maybe he did.
I know he did some video game franchise, but I can't remember what it was.
Maybe it was Halo. That's kind of interesting, because the Halo universe is kind of interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, this just jumps around time too much. Like, it's present and then they jump backwards, and I just think it would have been more interesting if it was, you know, more of what the title suggests, where it just give me his origin, you know? It's kind of, you know, a lot of subplots I don't care about. Anyway, I think that's about everything for new acquisitions. So, thanks for watching. If you just watched this part of the show, and now we're going to move right along.